Let me find it. Maybe not. There we go. And I will enlarge it. Is that good? All righty. So what is meant by somatic cells? Somatic cells are the same thing as body cells. So that's the majority of all the cells in your body are your somatic cells. And these are not passed on to the children. Hernan, this is a new set of notes that you'll have to find in Google Classroom. So this is like your skin cells, your hair cells, your brain cells. And this abbreviation CXS is an abbreviation for chromosomes. So you don't have to write that. Chromosomes, because we talk about them a lot, you don't have to write it every time. So human body cells have 46 chromosomes or 23 pairs. Within a pair, one of those chromosomes had originally come from your father and one of them had originally come from your mother. Germ cells are the other type of cells besides somatic cells. And these are cells that are in the reproductive organs. So either the testes for male or the ovaries for females. And they develop into gametes, Gametes. And gametes are the sex cells. So egg if you're female or sperm if you're male. Gonads are the reproductive organs that make the gametes. So for male, it's the testes. And for females, it would be the ovaries. Females with their ovary, they're born with all their eggs that they're ever going to make, where a male and his testes, they are continually making them throughout lifetime. So gametes are the sex cells that are passed on to the children or to the offspring. A female is going to donate an egg or an ova. OVA is another name for it. And the male will donate a sperm or spermatozoa, which is this word right here. I'll spell it out in case you have trouble. SPERMATOZOA. Much more often that is shortened to sperm. So the human gametes, whether it's the egg or the sperm, have only 23 chromosomes. We say they're haploid. Hap, like half, so this is half the number of chromosomes. And once again, they need to be haploid because then when you get one from your mother and your father, then they add up to give you the full amount. If not, if they were the full amount, then you're going to add up and you would have, for humans, you would end up having 92, which would not be good. Probably, what would it be called?
Like what would it, yeah.
probably that, with that much changes.
Has anybody ever survived that?
I would be surprised, but I'm not going to say 100% no, but I doubt it. It takes very little changes in the chromosomes to cause some kind of birth defect or death. A lot of times when a lady has a miscarriage, it's because maybe there was something wrong with the chromosomes, and like the body determines it's better for that offspring not to be born than to try to survive with that damage.
The chromosome is like 5 months, so it would die.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't take very much change in it.
Did I say over?
OVA, yes, sir.
I'm still.
So each species has a certain number of chromosomes, and it does not seem to be related to the complexity. So, because like we would think humans are the most complex, and we have 46, but there's a fern plant that has 1,200. So obviously it's not as complex, but for some reason it has many more chromosomes. What you need? Huh? You don't need me to spell something? Why don't you put your glasses on? I'm gonna move this up a little bit. You're on, are you on E? Okay. I'll move that up to the top. So some symbols. This is the ancient symbol for male and then the ancient symbol for female. So sometimes that's used, especially when we do like a heredity map or something, you may see those symbols. So homologous chromosomes, remember that prefix homo means the same. So that's going to be a pair of chromosomes that are similar. So when we said there was a total of 46 chromosomes, but 23 pair, each pair is made of 2 homologous chromosomes, and they're similar in shape and what genes they carry. And one would have come from the mother and one would have come from the father. You good? So there's a thing called karyotype. So if you like to watch like crime movies and they get the DNA and then maybe you see they have a printout of the DNA, it's printed out in what's called a karyotype. And that's just where they line up all of the chromosome pairs. So 23 pairs give you a total of 46. And they go from largest to smallest. In a karyotype, the last pair is always the sex chromosomes. So the chromosome that tells you whether you're going to be a male or a female. So sometimes when women are older and there's a higher chance of them having a birth defect, they'll have to have some type of blood test where they will look at the unborn baby's DNA, and this is what they'll get. They'll get a karyotype. So it's like a picture of all of the chromosomes. And then they can look at it and look for anything that might be wrong with those to try to predict whether they might have a birth defect or not. So the autosomes or chromosomes that contain genes for characteristics not directly related to the sex of the organism. So that's most of the chromosomes. So there's 44 chromosomes or 22 pairs that are autosomes, there's only one pair of sex chromosomes. And your sex chromosomes are either XX or XY. Does anybody know whether XX is female or male? That is female, exactly. And if it's XY, then it's going to be male. And you only out of your 23 pair, you only have one pair of those. And when you see a karyotype, they're always at the very last. They always list those at the very last. So sex chromosomes are chromosomes that directly control sexual characteristics. So any characteristic that you think of that makes a female a male, or a male a female, sorry, or a male, those would be controlled either by that XX or XY chromosome. So when you do a karyotype, or if you get a karyotype, the sex chromosomes are always the 23rd pair. So that's where you would look to see whether somebody was a male or a female. Or if you had it done before you were having a baby, that's where it would look to see if you would have a male or a female. And you could do some fancy gender reveal party.
That's like ITIs.
For characteristics of the very first one.
For E.
It is the larger sex chromosome, CX for chromosome, and contains numerous genes, including many that are unrelated to sexual characteristics. Is that what you needed? So the X is larger than the Y chromosome. So females have 2 X chromosomes. So they have a little bit more chromosome material. Some people say that's why females are smarter than males.
Yeah.
Who's paying attention? So the Y sex chromosome is smaller than the X, so it has fewer genes. And all of its genes really have to do with the development of the testes and other male traits like your Adam's apple or your deeper voice or, hair on your face, those types of things. Some reptiles, whether they're going to be a male or a female, is actually determined by the temperature that surrounds the incubating eggs. Warmer temperature tends to lead to more males, and cooler temperatures tend to lead to more females. So during sexual reproduction, which is what humans go through, which is by far the most common type, of sexual reproduction, you have the joining of two gametes, and then that results in genetic material that is mixed, and it comes from each parent. And we'll find out that every gamete does not contain exactly the same genetic information. So every egg that your mother supplied is not going to have exactly the same genetic information. That's why you're different from your brothers and sisters, even if you have the same mom and the same dad. So when the egg and the sperm fuse, that's the process of fertilization, and it produces a zygote, which is a fertilized egg. That's going to be the first time that you're going to have two cells. One's going to be an egg from the mother, the sperm from the male, and they come together to form a zygote. So when we talk about diploid number, that's going to be all of our body cells or our somatic cells. That means they have two copies of each chromosome, 23 pairs, two copies. One from the mother and one from the father. They got that through the process of mitosis. So the symbol for diploid is 2N. So human, that would be 46. I mentioned haploid earlier. Oh, too much? Is that better or more? I had mentioned haploid earlier. Think of hap like half. So it has half the number of chromosomes. So you would only find that in the egg or sperm. So instead of 2N, that would just be N. So for humans, the diploid is 46. The haploid is 23. Oh. So the human egg carries the X chromosome. So half of human sperm carry X and half of them carry Y. So whether a child is male or female is determined by the father. Yep. So if you have a father who keeps on having girls and is upset because he can't have a boy, that's determined by him. Because a female can only give an X. A male can either give an X or a Y. So they're the only ones that have the Y to give, and they have to have the Y to be a male. So they're the only ones that can determine that. So meiosis takes place in the germ cells, which are going to be your sex cells, which are going to be in your egg and your sperm. The process that we're going to be talking about in meiosis, where we half our chromosomes so we can get down to half, is only going to be happening in the egg and the sperm. All the other 99.9% of the cells in your body are only going through mitosis. They're going to always keep that diploid, or that 46 for humans, 46 number of chromosomes. Yes, sir. No, you can have it if you need it. can I go back to 9? Is anybody? I'll come back to where we need. 9. Is this 9? Here you go. I'll come back to it in a minute. Okay. I'll come back down if you need it. You good, Andrew? Okay. Okay, do you need some more down here? Or are you good?
I just need 14.
14? Those are pretty sharp.
Okay.
You good? All righty. So moving on to the next page. The process of meiosis forms gametes, which have the haploid number of chromosomes. And so that's essential for sexual reproduction because once again, an egg and a sperm are going to come together to give you the full zygote. They can't both come in there with a full set of chromosomes. So a quick difference between the two. Mitosis, which is what we studied previous to this week, occurs in somatic cells. You want to copy this part, Andrew? So that's all your different body cells, and it's just one cell division. So it begins and ends with diploids. So for us, it starts with 46 and it ends with 46. You're going to end up with 2 genetically identical daughter cells. And this takes place throughout an organism's lifetime for growth and repair. And for some eukaryotes that undergo asexual reproduction, they would use mitosis. So asexual means they don't reproduce using an egg and a sperm. They just reproduce by using more cells that are exactly the same. So meiosis occurs just in the germ cells. So that's just going to be in the ovary and in the testes. And there goes through 2 cell divisions. So while it starts with diploid, it ends with haploid. So for us, it's going to start with 46, but by the time it goes through 2 divisions, it'll end with 23. And at the end, there'll be 4 gametes, and they'll each be different. Takes places only at certain times in the organism's life. So like from whenever they go through puberty. And then for females, maybe 40s or so, kind of depends. That's just a general term. For males, usually last a little bit longer. this is involved in sexual reproduction. So sexual means that there's a contribution from the male and the female to come together to form the offspring. We're just doing the notes. There's going to be a drawing there at the bottom, a little rough drawing. All right. And then it just kind of ends with a rough drawing. 46, except for meiosis. When you get down to the last 4, then it's 23 because that's been halved. It says 46 in here, and all of these, it says 46 CXS to stand for chromosomes. And here it says 46, but then it goes to 23, and these are also 23. That's going to be it for our notes today. This one.
I was gonna keep it, but then I realized I'm using pen and pencil every day.
Okay, just leave it here. You can have it here when you need it, okay?
Alright, I'm gonna sit it right next to you.
Okay.